He didn't even know. He thought it was going to come with a compressor.
I probably would have thought the same thing.
Are you guys tracking on this?
Yeah, I can see that, but I don't see it on the actual YouTube screen.
It will come in a second. There's always the delay. That's why we're always...
Yeah, but I thought we were doing it this way so we could see it in real time.
Did you click the link?
Yeah.
You have both StreamYards open.
Yep.
I can see Adam. I see Adam right now talking.
Yeah, I see Adam, but on my other computer with the overtime, I can still have the overtime logo.
Now it just came on. Now mine just changed on the other one, so it's fine. I see it right. It's doing what you want to do. To be honest with you, what I'm going to do, you know how to pop out the chat? I'm just going to pop out the chat and close the YouTube one and put the chat.
Joe, can you see it?
Yeah, I still see a lag.
I'm not looking at the YouTube right now, but I didn't know you could use the take out the chat.
Yeah, see, on your screen.
Yeah.
Kick me out.
All right.
Yeah.
What we just had a huge... just happened. All right, well, that was interesting.
Yeah.
What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Hello.
Hey.
Am I supposed to be in here?
That went...
Adam always makes it awkward right the last minute, right? Always.
It was everything was working
Welcome to
fine. I don't know.
HVACR
Yeah,
video live stream, you know?
I told you there was a lag. Told you. There was totally a lag right there.
There wasn't a lag. The one screen, just everything shifted on it at the last second.
No, see right here on my other computer? I'm watching us in real time.
Here,
Over here on my computer, it's not in real time.
I'm totally hijacking this. Here we go.
Nice. There's a good intermission.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, Adam, fill us in. What's going on here? What is
Now
going
you're
on?
up.
What's going on with what?
Like what's the screen like? Like, are we good, Bill?
We are good.
Okay.
Well, we're on YouTube, so even if we're not
We're
good,
on YouTube. We're live. We look like the Brady Bunch right now. If you guys want to touch fingers, we can touch fingers. Here, Bill, I'm going to touch your nipple right now. Oh, wait.
I was born without nipples.
Bill, I don't think that's your finger. That seemed a little bigger. But
I was born without
I'm a little uncomfortable now.
All right, let's start this thing over here. Let's start this over.
No,
Recap.
we did that last week.
Let's recap this thing here. Hello, friends. Welcome to HVAC Overtime tonight. As you can tell by our awesome intro, we did spend a lot of time this week practicing and getting ready and preparing. Everything was structured, written out right here on my notepad. Right here. We planned this. Also, this is pre-recorded. We're not actually live. We recorded this on Wednesday.
That's like 2 sentences on your page.
I know. That's what I prepared for. It's to don't screw up, forget that there's a lag. That's it. Anyway, let's get this party on the road. Or what do they say? Let's get this party started or something.
Yeah.
Isn't there a song?
Let's get it started in here. Come on.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Little black-eyed peas.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, let's get a couple things out of the way. If you guys are in the chat and you're not a member of our Facebook group, go load up the Facebook and find us, HVAC Overtime. Connect with us there. Also, find us on Instagram, same name, different platform, HVAC Overtime. And then while you're in here, before you guys all forget, I'm going to forget too. Go ahead and hit this like button. I got 37 laptops open right now, and I'm going to hit like on all of them. So we get a bunch of likes tonight.
Everybody hit the like button twice.
Do it.
No, hit it 3 times.
3 times.
Jeez.
Someone said that the other day. They said, hit the like button twice. And they go, that means it doesn't like it, right?
Also, we can't forget, we got a special viewer tonight. Randy and his little buddy Luke is out there watching. Hey, Luke, if you can hear me, bark twice.
Didn't Luke Perry die? Different. My bad.
Yeah, Luke Perry did die, though.
He did, right?
Yeah, he did. Yep.
I grew up watching Luke Perry on Beverly Hills 902. Never mind, I didn't say that.
I feel like he died like 20 years ago.
No, it was like a year ago. Last year sometime.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, he died of a stroke. Yeah. So now that we're all super happy and excited and motivated.
Yeah.
I'm depressed now talking about Luke Perry.
What's the what are the girls' names on that show?
Kelly?
Donna?
Kelly. I had a crush on Kelly.
Wait. It's Kelly's Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, you're thinking of Saved by the Bell. Kelly
Kapowski. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Curly. Yeah.
No. Curly hair is a different girl. Curly hair is the Elizabeth Berkley character that went nuts on that Showgirls movie.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
A horrible movie.
Yeah.
Good in one way, but horrible acting.
Then she got addicted to meth and then moved to Vegas.
Wait, in real life or in the movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that happened in real life. It's either real or I just made it up.
I think that might be like the whole plot line behind the movie, right? She moved to Vegas.
That Showgirls wasn't a documentary?
I don't know.
I thought it was a documentary.
We could all just like do movie trivia and just annoy the hell out of
No.
No.
Oh my god.
That would be just about as fun as doing boiler trivia.
I forgot something else. My furnace is running. Do you hear it?
No.
No.
You better go catch it.
It's not going to go far.
No. Is it a train?
No, it's an Arco Air.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Off topic. What was that program again, Chris? Sorry. It's a good I want to check it out. What was it
XOI.
at?
XOI Technologies. I'm very interested in it. It seems very check it out. I mean, seems neat.
Maybe we should mention it in chat. Maybe some guys heard or something.
Yeah. I'm curious about it. If anybody has heard about it in the chat, send me an email, send Joe an email, send someone an email.
Yep.
I'm curious if anybody's using it because I'm trying to get them to send me a trial, and apparently they don't do trials. So
XOI Technology.
So the whole point of it is, I guess, that they can control your phone, and they're seeing what you're seeing. You could do that obviously with like FaceTime or whatever, Dual, but it's hands free. So that's the whole bonus of it, right?
It's not hands-free because the other person has to be using their phone. So one person, you can either do it from phone to phone, my understanding, or you can do it from computer to phone. but someone still physically has to hold their phone up.
But I thought they actually sell like safety glasses with a camera.
Yeah, I just talked to them last week, and they shit canned the whole camera and the glasses for the reason that everybody else knows there's no camera glasses out there that work. And so basically shit canned it. They just said we're stopping the whole glasses thing. It's all based on a phone now.
Yeah, I think
and that's what intrigued me actually was the whole glasses, because I've always been looking for like a set of glasses that would work for videoing and different things like that. But in my research, I haven't been able to find anything that has high quality, like legit high quality video. Nothing. So, and then that's what XOI told me too. Like, it's so laggy, it's so problematic. They completely shit can the whole glasses thing.
Just little statement here. I don't want to go into detail, but a few years back, I've used not glasses, but something similar, and for an exam, just in case I failed.
Okay.
And yeah, they're all poor quality, but I had one in my pocket just in case.
Oh, so that's your big refrigerant test that you were complaining about? These
So
guys?
Joe's not really Nate certified. He
along the lines of the trade, but one license, but it wasn't nothing major.
On the flip side, did you guys hear this week that Nate officially announced that they're going to let you do online testing now at home? Which, you guys have Nate up there, Joe?
Nope.
Okay, so Nate, it's some stupid tests, but
yeah,
I shouldn't say stupid. I honestly think. What are your guys' opinions, Adam? What's your opinion on Nate?
I thought it was awesome, and I studied for it when I was quite a bit younger, and I passed it, and I got several certifications. I'm like, this means I'm awesome. This means I'm awesome, and I spent a lot of money on it, and nobody has ever asked me about it whatsoever at any point. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have a lot of knowledge to pass the test, right? Like, and the farther the advanced and specialties that you take, the harder the tests are. The core is easy, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'll agree with that.
In order to pass it, you have to be pretty decent at what you do, your knowledge-wise and that, or you just have to be a really good test taker. But for me as a business owner, I didn't retake my test. I thought it was a waste of money.
What about you, Bill? What are your opinions on Nate or any kind of certification testing?
Yeah, I got Nate certified, and it was, I mean, it's going to sound like a humble brag, but it really wasn't that hard. It was just, basic stuff. And that was the core and one of the service ones. I forget which one, but I don't know. My opinion is it's kind of decent only in the way that it shows that whoever took the test actually had enough motivation to go out and study maybe a little bit and take a test. It doesn't mean they're a good worker. They may still not know a whole lot of stuff. So, I mean, I would give it like 2 thumbs. Meh.
Okay. So as a business owner, there's some industry or utility programs here in Southern California. I don't participate in any of them, but in order to be part of the utility programs, where basically our power company pays us to go out to commercial customers and certify their equipment, you have to be NATE certified. So I get it on that. Now, as far as NATE, ESCO, RSCS, any of them, in my opinion, any certification is better than no certification. And what I like about the certification testing is that every single one of them requires you that you continue your education to maintain that testing. So as an owner, if I have a guy that's NATE certified, I could care less that he's NATE certified, but I encourage him to be NATE certified. So that way he has to continue going to training classes to maintain his NATE certification. So that, as a continuing education resource, I firmly agree with it. Now, where I don't agree with Nate is the way that they change their program. So basically now, not only do you have to have industry certification, you still have to pay like $100 a year or $200 a year to recertify on top of your your continuing education.
Yeah,
So I have Nate. I have the, not bragging, but I have the core, the heat pump, and light commercial refrigeration. And similar to you, Bill, I don't know about you, but I honestly did not study for any of those tests. And I sat down and I took them. I'm a good test taker, though. So I agree that it doesn't mean that you're smart. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that you can look at a multiple choice question and say, what's the most logical answer there? And click that one. That's all it means.
So some of the questions were kind of dumb. Sorry to cut you off, Joe.
No, it's okay.
Some of the questions were kind of dumb, like, how does a cooler, defrost? Does it use heaters? Is there a barrel of burning trash in the cooler? Obviously I know which one it's going to be. I mean,
There's
they
a
weren't that
question.
obvious, but
It was either on the core or on the heat pump test. And I kid you not, this was the question. On a 115-volt circuit, of the white wire or the black wire, which one can you grab while the unit is energized? And that one, I knew what they were trying to go for, but you don't grab either one because if someone miswired that, the white one's going to be energized.
Yep.
So I thought that was the stupidest question, but I knew what the answer was going to be. Now I'm sure the question has changed because I took it so many years ago, but that one drove me nuts. It was like, that is the stupidest question in the world. Which wire can you grab when a circuit is energized?
I agree.
I'll tell you, if I was interviewing two guys and they both had same exact personalities or whatever, except one guy A versus guy B, guy A had an 8 certification. He would probably get a few extra points only because he had the initiative, maybe just to go get it. I would view it as that.
True.
Yeah.
You know, but the other certifications, I don't know if you guys are familiar with CEFESA. I forget what it. Yeah, CEFESA.
Your shit doesn't stink if you have the CESFA certification, right?
So those tests are difficult. I've only passed one of them so far, and that was the refrigeration one. But like if somebody has like CEFESA or RSES, they do the CM and CMS, I think it is.
Yeah,
like
those
those tests.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
mean,
I
like,
failed the CM test 2 times.
yeah, like if a guy comes in, interviews, and be like, "Hey, by the way, I got this CM thing," I'm like, "You can stop right there. I don't even care." Like
now, in all fairness, the same thing as the Nate. I thought I could go sit down for the CM test and not study, and then they start asking me about gas, oil, freaking steam,
stuff you never ever use.
Everything at once.
Yeah,
on the CM, and it's like, oh my gosh! And I'm an RSCS member. I have been for years, and I failed it 2 times now, and I've got horribly failed it too. I think it's comical, but honestly, for the challenge, I honestly want to try to take it again without studying again. Like I don't like to sit down and study. I think it's if I'm curious about something, I love reading, but if I'm forced to study for something, I look at it and I just my eyes glaze over, and I'm like,
you have to memorize it. It's like you're sitting there memorizing stuff. And to be honest with you, I don't know, a lot of these tests, I know on Nate, like I said, the core was easy. There's the gas. What was it? Gas heat service, heat pump service, and you get all the installs and everything. But they start throwing in some crazy freaking questions that like really pertain to nobody, possibly engineers or something else like that. You know?
Yeah, they literally had a requirement to have 72 questions, and they ran out of questions at 40, and they just started what colors. How do you make blue? What 2 colors do you mix? I mean, it's just stupid. You know,
Nate did that. That's what you're talking about.
No, but I mean, but in general, yeah.
I mean, they do that on certain tests. I think I had heat pump service, gas heat service, so you get all the installs with it.
Same, yeah.
But like I think maybe it was the heat pump. It was so long ago. It was over 10 years ago. But I think the heat pump one, it was just like some of the stuff they had in there. I don't know. It just didn't. It was like I will never need to know this ever.
It almost seems
career,
like a mechanical aptitude test. Like,
exactly. That's exactly what it is. Kind of like something that an engineer. Well, some of the questions. There's a lot of stuff that is good knowledge that you could have on there, but some of the stuff is just nonsense that you don't. It's stupid.
Well, I think the same thing. I don't know if it's any different nowadays, but when I took the EPA test back in 98, 99, somewhere in there, it was just all people ask me all the time, what do you need to know about the EPA test? I'll pay attention to the dates. That's the stupidest thing, but the dates. Like when I took it, that's all it was what date was this passed? What date was this passed? And it just seems dumb. Like, why do you need to know dates?
Speaking of hosers, the Montreal Protocol, Chris, when did that go into effect?
92?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I think it's 92.
Oh, it is 92,
sure,
right?
Yeah. I remember that from the damn EPA test, but why do I need to know that?
Right. Like, well, I've been breaking the law for the last 10 years. At least I know how long I've been breaking the law.
No. That just allows me to say on my videos that I remember when my dad pre-1992 blew out condensers with R22. That just gives me a date to say I was safe if I blew out a condenser with R22 before 92.
Yeah.
But I seriously, I mean, when I was coming up, we blew out drains, we blew out condensers, all that stuff with R22.
Oh, I remember when I was a kid and you were like flushing lines or you were trying to pressure test something a little bit. You just use R22. It was like $30 a drum or a jug.
Okay. I'm going to show my hackness. Did you ever sweep a system with R22 without vacuuming?
No, I've always wanted to try that.
Right through the high side, and then wait till it's because again in my head I was taught, which wasn't correct, but I was taught once it starts coming out the low side, just let it blow for a few minutes and then screw it on, and then you don't need a vacuum.
Honestly, I've never tried that, but I've always wanted to I've wanted to try it to see how it works and how long a unit would last. You know what I mean?
Years and years and years.
Like they are now, dude. They're
Yeah, there's
lasting.
still stuff out there. Now, I agree that it's best. I mean, now that I cut open compressors and I see copper plating and and you see like your needle gauge fluttering and you're like, why is that thing fluttering?
Yeah.
It's normal. No, that's
Mhm.
non-condensables. Okay. That's not normal when your high side gauge is going, you know?
But the thing is, 99% of installers, technicians, or whatever have been drawing through manifolds since the beginning of time, right?
Yeah.
And not using a micron gauge and not pulling the cores. That's really how it's been. And only in the last like handful of years has everyone been, let's get.
I'd say 15 years. It's really become, honestly, come on, let's give credit to the man. Okay. When Jim Bergman started with True Tech Tools, started making these vacuum videos, that's when we all really started thinking about it and saying, oh, okay. That's when I started thinking about it.
I bought
before it was a 15-minute vacuum. I don't want to wait 10, you know?
You know what? I actually bought it fairly early on. Yellow Jacket made, I can't remember what it was called. Is it Super Evac or something? It's like this, it's kind of like the Appian thing. It's like a tree with a couple valves that sits on top of your vacuum pump. And then it has a refrigeration gauge on the top, which is ridiculous because you're trying to pull a vacuum. Why do you need to see what the gauge is on the vacuum pump? It's stupid. Yeah. But I always had a hard time with those gaskets because they would always fall out and they get dirty and everything. So like I fell off that very quickly after I bought the Yellow Jacket tool.
I had the CPS whatever yellow Chingus vacuum gauge, and I remember I wanted to buy it, and I bought it from United Refrigeration, and I didn't even know how to use it. And again, I don't read instructions even back then, so I like just put it on there, and I could never understand why it just moves everyone. I didn't understand what anything meant, so I just had a tool just because I was a tool whore even in the beginning, and it was just to have a tool, and I didn't know how to use it. Sat there in my tool bag. I got so irritated. This stupid thing doesn't work.
Well, I think the earlier micron gauges too, they were very susceptible to oil, right?
Yeah.
And you would have to clean them frequently, if not every use. And now, like I had an issue with one of my, like the Blue Vacs, and I called them, and it was actually one of my techs like over tightened it, and it twisted the wires on the inside a little bit. But I called up their tech support, and I'm like, do you think there's oil in there? And he's like, well, does it say there's oil on the screen? Like, is it saying like an oil warning? I'm like, no. And he's like, well, then there's not oil in there. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I think that it's important to, and I try to do it as much as I can, but I think it's really important for us guys that do have a social media presence to be honest about, I show these fancy True Blue hoses, and I show this fancy field piece vacuum pump and all this crap, and I talk about pulling a proper vacuum, but I think it's also important for us to be honest and show our roots, and we're not perfect. No. We all did that crap, and and do I agree that to this day, I could still sweep a mineral oil R22 system without pulling a vacuum, and it would run. Would it be right? Yeah. No. Would it last for 30 years? Probably not. I mean, but I think it's important just to acknowledge to people that there's no perfect out there. And I get emails from people all the time, like an apprentice last week, and he was like, yeah, my boss, what do I do? I just started at a company, and my boss only pulls a vacuum for 15 minutes and he never sweeps with nitrogen. And I go, well, don't burn your bridge, bro. Like, I mean, ask questions, and learn and absorb what you can, because there's going to be some value in that.
One of the guys that were, he was probably in his 50s when I was working for my dad, and I was just kind of learning and helping him out. This is when I was not working with my dad. I worked with my dad when I was very young, and then he put me out with other people. But this guy, I got to say, he did not do anything by the book whatsoever. And his whole thing on vacuum is 10 minutes mandatory, 15 minutes if you're lucky, 25 minutes if I like you. That's what he said.
Yeah. So he probably got the air out of the system.
Yeah.
There might be moisture in there, but that's what the dryer's for. I mean, that's what I was taught was, that's what the dryer's for.
Right.
And, but we would never go back and change the dryer.
Right.
So, but again, I was taught by my dad, and I don't want to make it sound like he was the biggest hack in the world. That's what everybody did back then. Everybody ran that way. And, everything was forgiving back then too, because it was mineral oil, PoE is a little bit different. You can plug up a dryer I've had brand new carrier package units, nothing wrong with them, running PoE with R410A when they first came out, and the dryers would just plug up.
Yeah.
Now I can look back and say they didn't evacuate it properly at the factory, and it just kept plugging up the dryers, you know. And then I would go out there, and again, this is way back when 410 first came out. I would pull a 15-minute vacuum. That's fine. Put in a new dryer, call it a day, it would plug up again. You know, well, the oil was saturated. Now I know, you know, the oil was saturated, and it was just sucking up all that moisture basically constantly, you know. But
the funny thing is about like early on, I remember when I was really young, like in high school, working and helping out, and these the older guys, I just remember them checking the charge. Nobody ever had a temperature probe on their lines ever.
Oh,
Nobody
no.
had temperature probes.
And nobody ever checks superheater subcooling.
And that's how I always learned everything. And I'm like, this just doesn't make sense in my head. Like there was something in my head that I'm like, something doesn't seem right. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem right.
yeah.
And it just started reading, started watching videos, started learning, started taking classes, and yeah.
It was, I can still remember the exact numbers. I was taught everything was fixed orifice. It was either piston or capillary tube. It was R22. And I can remember carrier package units. I broke my teeth on those things all day long. And so we would take the compressor cover off. We would put it over the condenser fan. We would block it off. We would drive the head pressure to 275. And I was always taught my suction pressure had to be 65 PSI. So you had to have 275 head and 65 PSI, and it'd be perfectly charged.
No matter what the airflow was or
Temperature.
dry bulb, none of that stuff. Huh?
None of that. 275, 65. That number is still grilled in my head.
Let me ask you guys a question. So in your guys' careers, when was like the defining moment that you guys were like, you know what? I'm going to be better than this. I'm going to be a good technician, and I'm going to learn how this stuff actually works.
I'll go last. I'll go first.
Yeah, Joe, why don't you go first? If I was going to go last, I wouldn't.
Volunteering to go last.
I think years back, my first time I went to school and for the trade of somewhat or form, I think it woke me up a little bit. And I guess maturing as an adult too, you think about it, okay, maybe we should be a little more careful. What are these old timers teaching me? You know what I mean? But
sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say, it's funny that you're saying maturing as an adult when these old timers are teaching this because they're already adults, right?
Seniors, I know. I know. But it's their roots, you know, you can't blame them.
Go ahead, Chris.
I've always been a tool whore. I've always been, and what I mean by tool whore is I've always been intrigued and enticed by tools. So when I would walk into United Refrigeration and I'd see all the tools they had behind the counter, I wanted every single one of them. When I saw a vacuum, I think they even called it a vacuum meter or something like that. It was a micron gauge, or when I saw a fancy leak detector, at the time it was a CPS leak seeker. A fancy recovery machine. That's a funny one. We had this recovery machine in the back of our shop that always intrigued me. What does that thing do? Don't worry about that. You know, you don't need that. I remember getting to a job one time and being so excited about using the recovery machine that we had in the shop and roping it up. I got there real early, roped it up on the roof and got it up there. And then the guy that I was, apprenticing under, he gets up on the roof and he goes, "What the fuck you got that for? You don't, hold on a second, dude." And it's just like, I was so excited to use it. I just wanted to
learn.
So I was intrigued. Like I always wanted to. And then I can remember an exact moment when and I've said this many times, I called Hoshizaki tech support one time. I was diagnosing a flaker ice machine. I thought I had a bad expansion valve, and the tech support guy, I can remember his name too, is I'm not going to say his name because he's still a tech support guy local. But when he asked me what the superheat was, and I said, "What's superheat?" and he hung up on me. And I was embarrassed.
Oh my God.
I was embarrassed.
Man.
And I went
What's
online,
superheat?
and that was when I found HVAC-talk, the message board.
Oh yeah.
And I started looking on there, and that was that. I think I said this a couple weeks ago. That was that aha moment. I thought I was on cloud nine. I thought my shit didn't stink. I was this tech that could diagnose anything. And then I found HVAC-talk.com, and I realized I didn't know shit. Yeah. And the pendulum swung the other way, and I realized, holy crap, I don't know anything. So it was that phone call to Hoshizaki tech support when the guy hung up on me. That was the aha moment for me.
The funny thing is, I think the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly.
Oh, I know.
Even to this day, when people say, like, "Can you help me with this? What's this?" fuck, I don't know, dude. You know, like,
Mm-hmm.
Hey Joe, what's your story? It's time for the last.
No, I already said it.
Oh, did
You
you? I
know,
missed it. Must have been short.
there's a little mixture of both. You do want to go out banging, but in the very beginning when you don't know, and years back, you're like, it's what you know, and so unless you really care, you're not going to do it. So I don't know. I didn't.
now I think it's really important though too. I talk like I was trained by my dad, and my dad didn't know. One would even call him a hack these days, but I don't consider him a hack.
No, it's like the
Yeah.
old school way of doing things.
He
Right.
taught me so much. He taught me customer service. So I think I said this a couple weeks ago. I can still remember being confused when my dad threw tons of parts at this unit. It was a low voltage control voltage problem. We threw a thermostat, contactors, a circuit board, all these things, and it was not fixing the problem. And by the time he found the problem, and then I remember him writing up the bill, and he only billed for the part that fixed it. And I was like, what? I don't understand.
Now, is your dad one of those types that you can ask him questions and he'll either, if he knows the answer, he'll explain it to you, or if he doesn't, will he, I don't know, help you find the answer, help you figure it out? Or was he like the guy who taught me? It was like, we don't need to know all that. We don't need to know the ins and outs and the whys and whatnot.
He was more we don't need to know the ins and outs and whys. And honestly, I think it was more of a defense mechanism because he genuinely didn't know the answer. So it was more like, you need to ask your teacher at school. Because
I was kind of brought up in the trades under an old guy that had the same mentality. And that was kind of what like just made me want to learn. I'm like, well, crap, I need to know this. Like, I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight unless I know.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't need to know. Just who cares? And I'm like, well, crap. So I'd be up on a rooftop reading manuals or watching YouTube videos on my phone, just trying to figure stuff out.
And honestly, the more manuals and stuff like that you read, the more you're like, because you come in and you're like, you have the blinders on. As far as like wiring, low voltage, everything else goes, setting up something single stage versus two stage or whatever. And then you read like something Carrier versus Train versus Goodman versus Lennox, and you realize like, oh crap, these are all different. And I can't look at every service call like it's the same. You almost need to open up the manual, especially in the more technical equipment, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I remember how excited I was in 98-ish. The internet was still new. And it was HVAC Talk. Someone sent me a link for the Train Black Book. And the Train Black Book was basically described what the Reliatel controls were or whatever their controls. And it basically broke down how to check everything using DC volts and how to test these different. And it was like, oh my gosh, Train never made sense to me. And it was like, what? Oh, now it makes sense. And finding a manual like that was like, whoa, it blew my mind.
Yep.
Alexander makes a good point in chat. He still reads. And I think self-education is so important. I still read. I'm pretty sure all these guys always read.
For a second, I thought you said self-examination, Joe.
No, not yet. Although
you're not
there
old
is
enough.
something you can do in mail.
Later on. Later on after the show. Just make sure you turn your camera off this time, Joe. Because that was awkward.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
But
no, you're right. Reading. I mean, you got to continue to read. Like my favorite nonfiction science or non-science fiction book, that Commercial Refrigeration book by Dick Wers. Like I read that book on repeat. Like I'll read through it and then wait a month or two, and then I'll just start reading it again, just so I can stay always brushed up on the basics, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess for me it's important because I don't do a majority of refrigeration calls lately. It's maybe like 20-30% refrigeration calls, and the rest is like hot side and HVAC related stuff, but not strictly refrigeration. So I try to stay in the loop of reading anyway.
I agree.
Education.
Michael Bemko, he said that a micron is like a cunt hair of a PSI. That's pretty funny.
I was wondering what this
C hair.
Now I realize.
Joe, I'm not sure. A book I really enjoy. I'm not big into refrigeration, but have you ever read The Lost Art of Steam Heating?
Dan Hollahan.
Yep.
I didn't read that, no, but heard of it. I heard it's a good book.
Heard of it on Brian's podcast.
He's very, very. He's like, he's got to be one of the best at steam and boilers in general.
Would you say he's like the Jim Bergman of steam heating?
Boilers in general. He's just like, he's brilliant. And I actually went to one of his seminars where he like talks and he gives his whole,
The thing is with anything, dude, I have a certain guide, let's say the universal hydronic, what's it called, equation, and all these equations. And I just have everything in my head, what I usually do. I'm afraid if I get more knowledgeable on it and go more in depth, I'm going to say, fuck, I've been doing it wrong for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was telling. You sent me that one picture. I'm like, dude, you piped it wrong. You're like, no, I did not pipe it wrong.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
And then I sent you a copy of the manual 10 seconds later. I'm like, you piped it wrong.
He mentioned something like, listen, Adam, it's still working. Look how beautiful it looks.
It's been installed for 10 years.
No problems.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Sorry, Susie. I'm not a gentleman. My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Cunt hair.
C word.
Michael Bemko was trying to be nice by not saying cunt hair, and I shouldn't have said it.
Well,
There, I said it like 3 more
we have
times.
Chris in here. It's 4 people, so it's like a hangout. No, everything is out the window, right?
My bad. Yeah, I'm a bad influence, right? Because I have to be like all politically correct on my streams, so then I come on yours and I just destroy it.
Well,
That's
you're nowhere near as bad as what is Ted in here?
Oh, jeez. If
Ted's like a church boy.
We're getting shut down.
Chat now.
Ted was like a he's always like he's very prim and proper in all his live streams, and then he comes in here and he's like gay.
Mhm. Yep. If high school ADD was a person, it would be Ted.
Yeah.
But Ted is dude, I love Ted, I would hang out with Ted probably on a weekly basis if I lived by him.
So if you guys don't mind me changing the subject, there's a bunch of questions I've been noticing in the chat and everybody's been asking. So how are you guys all doing with the COVID thing? Do you mind me changing the subject?
No.
Let's do it.
You can do whatever you want, bud.
We're screwed. My guys,
Run
my guys haven't worked for at least a month now. I'd say
you
we're going a solid month. Yeah.
Did you now when you started the layoffs? Did you lay them all off like at the same time, or did it go in like phases?
No, we brought them all in April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be careful. I guess I can say all this stuff. So we brought them all in April 1st, and we just told them the reason we strategically did this because by bringing them April 1st, we could still pay for their health insurance for the rest of the month. So we had to bring them in and pay them for a couple hours April 1st to have a meeting, but they had already been off for almost a week before April 1st.
No, so it was kind of coming down the pipe.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was sitting at home, and we just brought them all in and had them turn in their vans and their phones and basically just said, we don't know what's going on. Here's health insurance for the rest of the month. We'll know once we get closer to the end of April what things are going to happen. And, I mean, all my guys, I still want them to come back. They're all, but we just had to do it that way to be safe because we just couldn't have our vans sit in everybody's shops for a month.
They're able to get unemployment. And that helps out. It's better than sitting at home, right?
So now in my situation, again, I guess I could say all this stuff, but in my situation, we pay for 100% of our technicians' health insurance.
Damn.
They don't pay. They just pay deductibles. That's it. So we pay for 100% of their premiums. So
can I have a job?
Yeah, I know. That's huge, right?
You
So
my plane ticket.
I was worried, and I mean, myself and my dad too were worried because it's like, they're going to get a rude awakening if we don't pay another month, because if they ever have to go pay for their own, they're going to realize how much health insurance actually costs. And now we don't pay for their families. We just pay for the technician. But that one hurt, it sucked because it's like, what do we do? And my dad was like, really like, okay, he goes, we're going to pay for another month. And but that's it. After that point, we don't know. I mean, and we applied for all the stuff, the SBA grant and the Paycheck Protection Program. We haven't really heard much back. We saw something from the SBA grant, but that's not very much. But the Paycheck Protection Program, it's just, we haven't heard anything. So we don't know. And all that stuff scares me though, too. But just because we've never had loans.
I applied through, because for the pay, it's like a tongue twister, right? The Paycheck Protection Program, PPP. You have to apply through somebody that you bank with, right? Either loans or banking, whatever, accounts. So I have a company that I have a line of credit with, and I applied with them, didn't hear anything back, and all they kept saying was, wait for our email. And I kept logging in just to check on it, and they said, you qualify for this amount of money. And then it said, congratulations, you qualify for this amount of money. Expect an email from us, and then we'll send you loan documents to sign. And then the same day you'll have your money. And that was like 3 days ago, 4 days ago, something like that. So every day I'm like checking. But the paycheck protection thing, that's not like money in the bank, right? You're paying that towards paychecks.
They send you a lump sum. My understanding, they send you a lump sum, and at the end of the year when you file your taxes, you better have used it for certain things. Actually, you have 2 years. But at the end of the year, they're going to ask you questions, and then after the second year, if you haven't used it for no.
I thought it was, dude. I thought it was 60 days. You have 60 days to use what they give you for the PPP.
You're right. Yeah. See, that's the problem though. Is there's so much. There's such a lack of information.
Right.
I find myself watching random YouTube videos to get information because if you go to the government's website, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
None of it makes sense. So you're finding yourself like who knows what. The bank doesn't know anything. It's such a jumbled mess. What about service calls? Okay, Joe, how have you been doing? And I don't mean to hijack this, guys. Sorry, but
no, it's okay. No, it's a good question. We're still pretty good. We're getting a little slow. This week we're good. We're accounted for, but there's a lot of people not getting back to us, so it might slow down in the next few weeks.
I've had three to five service calls in the last week, 3 to 5 service calls the week before, and on average we get 9 service calls a day.
Wow, yeah, there's a big jump for you.
We're
still, sorry, Bill. We're still doing pretty good to stay off unemployment. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But Dave in chat was saying he's seeing trucks going for sale already.
Yeah,
I pulled into the back of my shop today just because I had to pick up my trailer to go do a service call, and it's depressing when I see 4 service trucks just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn. It still even catches me off guard. I'm like, what? Oh, fuck. Why are those there?
Yeah.
How about you, Bill? What about service calls? Are you getting any?
I've been running about maybe 3 a week, and I just laid off my last guy about a week ago. We were kind of laying him off in phases. I had an apprentice with me for a little while. Had to lay him off, of course, because it was just overhead, and then laid off one guy, and then last week I laid off the last guy. Really, it was a little too late because we were only doing like 15, 20 hours a week for the last 2-3 weeks. So I should have honestly laid him off like 2 or 3 weeks ago and just let him collect that sweet unemployment. In Michigan right now with that 600 add-on, they're bringing in like $1,000 a week on unemployment.
In California, you cap out you get 600 federal a week, and I think you cap out at 400, 450 a week on state.
Really?
So you can make over, what is that? Almost $1,000 a week. Now that doesn't do anything for a normal salary, but when you look at it on the perspective of, you could pretty much sit at home for the next however long they approved unemployment and make more than people working at Costco.
Yeah, like right now, my guys who are on unemployment are making more than me, their supervisor, on unemployment.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's depressing, but I kind of understand it being a what I would refer to as some sort of leader in my industry that I kind of got to pull some weight and keep the area going for now. Although that unemployment does sound pretty damn sweet, and I wouldn't mind if there was some hazard pay or something for us essential guys that are out here. Well, some of the other people.
You're next on the list, buddy.
I'm getting laid off.
I hate to break it to you, but
Yeah.
There's going to have to be some bad stuff going down for me to get laid off. But hey,
I just heard
I would love to be laid off. Lay me off right now.
there's a local refrigeration company. They're not my competitor. They deal with like drug stores and things like that. And I just heard through the grapevine, and then I confirmed it with a reputable source. They had 200 technicians and they just completely closed their door.
wow.
Really?
Now, I'm sure it's not just COVID. I also, like 3 weeks ago, I heard that one of the big refrigeration chains took all the drug stores. Like someone posted that I know works for one of the big supermarket refrigeration companies that they picked up all these drug stores. And I knew that particular company used to do all the drugstores. So I'm sure it was a mixture of everything. But yeah, they had over 200 employees within like 4 states, and they completely closed their doors, shut them.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Vlogger, I think he is off, and he's making 22 every 2 weeks. I think it's about around the same. Like we're getting around the same thing here if you're off. So I guess he is off work, Vlogger. So
wait, now what'd you say about 2,200?
$2,200 every 2 weeks.
Damn, that's
So
Canadian.
1,100 a week. Is
Yeah,
that-
it's like like it depends, I guess, but it's around there.
Well,
give
hey,
or
I
take.
mean, now's probably a good time to scoop up employees, right?
Actually,
Yeah.
the reason why I heard about that refrigeration company was someone emailed me and they said, "Hey, I remember you saying you were hiring. Are you still hiring? 'Cause this company closed." And I was like, "What?" So then I emailed someone else that I knew and I was like, "Hey, bro, did you guys just close that?" And he goes, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh shit." If we had a bunch of, I mean, it's scary though because we don't know how much longer everything's going to go.
Right.
So,
No,
what
I
about
hear you.
service calls? Are you, Adam? Are you getting service calls?
Well, I'm getting a little bit of service calls. Luckily, like I don't know if it's a godsend, what it is, but you know, it's just been like one thing after another where you walk into a house and you sell them a system. Still having that Amana, the Amana deal where you get a free condenser, that helps out quite a bit. But today I walked into a 1,000 square foot ranch with 115,000 BTU furnace on a 8x10 trunk line running 2 directions and a 3.5 ton on the thing. It was going off on main limit. I'm checking carbon monoxide. I'm getting carbon monoxide out of the vents. I end up turning down the gas pressure to, you know, try to get the temperature rise in line. But he's got carbon monoxide. He's got a bad heat exchanger. He needs a new furnace. We're going to be doing a furnace and air for him, you know? So luckily, it's just like luck of the draw. That could have been a cheap little filter change kind of service call, but
Yeah.
new furnace and air out of it. So lucky.
So, okay.
Good job, real quick, Chris. A question before we change the subjects there. So when it does start picking up again, and business increases, how do you foresee bringing your guys back? Are you going to bring them back like in phases, or just like, hey, we got 10 work orders this week, bring all the guys back at once? Like, what's your plan?
Okay. I have to be careful about this, but whatever. It is what it is.
Won't tell.
You're certainly going to use this time to weed out the problems.
Oh yeah.
So
if you're listening and Chris has talked to you once or twice before, or you gotten a write up from Chris, don't expect that phone call back. That's why he took your van.
I took everybody's vans.
But
I mean, honestly, we're going to get, on the flip side, honestly, we'll probably end up bringing everybody back. I would love to say that you're going to weed out the problems, but I genuinely think that we're going to be bombarded with work. So my main restaurant chain that people see in my videos all the time, people say, I see that same rack in every one of your videos. They had stopped preventative maintenances back in October because it was a slow winter. And they were like, hey, we're going to hold off on preventative maintenances. So we used to do a maintenance every month, and they're a super busy store. And we do like 5 of them. And they stopped doing them. And then at the new year, they were like, hey, we're going to do maintenances every other month now. Well, we did one set of maintenances for them in January where we went and cleaned everything. And we couldn't even get everything cleaned. It was still such a mess. And then COVID hit. So I've been doing emergency service calls for them, and it's a mess. The places are just a disaster. But they're surviving because they're not busy. They're just selling to go. So when they open up like normal, they're going to have the worst. That's another thing I was telling my wife. I said, these restaurants, not only are they going through COVID, but when they open, they're going to have the worst quarter after they open that they've ever had, because they're going to have all these repairs hitting them. So not only are they going to be, they're going to have business, and people are going to be flocking to the restaurants because they've been so stuck at home for so long. But then the restaurants are going to be hit with these repair bills that are going to be insane.
You know what's crazy? Speaking of restaurants and repair bills and restaurants needing money, I was just reading. I can't remember the number. Is it 22 or 32 million, or I can't remember what it was. But Ruth Chris, just
20 million, 10 million for each restaurant chain. The way that they filed.
Holy crap!
That one pissed me off.
It pissed everyone off. People are like furious right now because it's supposed to be for small businesses. That's like a huge freaking business, right?
And they got it on a technicality because Ruth Chris didn't technically get the money. 2 of their restaurant chains, 2 of their subsidiaries got it. Between the 2, they each got 10 million is the way that I read it.
And then Potbelly's also got 10 million.
I did hear Potbelly's too.
Yeah.
And I think that there's more restaurants that got it, because I work for some of the mega chains and I guarantee they got it. But they just hasn't been publicized yet.
The funny thing is, early on when I was reading on the government's website, the small business loan thing, it says it caps off at $1 million. It says it capped off at $1 million when I was applying for it.
not to get either way. Well, fuck it. I don't give a shit. I'm registered Republican, but to hear the president talk on Thursday or Wednesday, whenever he talked, to hear him still preach how the Paycheck Protection Program is helping all these small businesses. And that was right when the Ruth's Chris story came out. And it just pissed me off. Like, again, but whatever, it just, they're
going to send you a couple thousand and me a couple thousand and be like, yeah, be happy, little guys. Be happy, little guys.
So,
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to talk about. And Adam, you can feel free to chime in, but I'll go ahead and chime in. So what about your past dues and your payables? So I've had a lot of money sitting on the table because when you work for chain restaurants, you're lucky if you get paid in 30 days. You're more than likely going to get paid in 60 days. And then sometimes it's 90 days. So with that being said, I have a lot of invoices sitting on the table. And then COVID hit. And then it's like, oh shit, these people aren't even answering emails. And I had one chain that I give them props because they emailed me right back when my secretary emailed them. They're like, hey, you guys are like 60 days past due. And they said, or 30 days past due, whatever. She was like, you're on this. And they go, well, you know what? We're going to be frank with you. We're not paying up to 60 days. So we're going to pay you at 60 days. And then they said, verbatim, they said, we're paying our food delivery companies first. And then we're paying our contractors. And then I called their facilities director and their facilities department. And I said, I appreciate that you guys answered the email because a lot of my other restaurant chains were just giving us the ghost. They weren't saying anything. But I said, what really pissed me off is that your accounts payable person told me that you're paying your food delivery companies first. And I go, but the problem is that you can't call your food delivery company if your refrigerator doesn't work.
You can call, cancel the order.
Right. I said, so you're gonna push me to 60 days, but you're paying your food delivery person first. And he goes, and granted, I was more venting to the facilities director because it's a president of the company. At this point, facilities directors aren't even making decisions. It's the president of the company and the chief financial officer. They're the ones trying to save but it just pissed me off. I was just like, I love that you guys were honest, but yeah, so we have a lot of, finally we got paid up by all of our restaurants.
So
but
how are you on your payables?
We're almost clean by now, but we still have considerable amount of money out there. So on the flip side, though, my secretary reminded me, she said, hey, she goes, remember though, she goes, these people that aren't paying, at least we're going to have something 3 months from now. And I go, that's true too. I guess if you look at it that way, at least you're going to have a lump sum coming 3 months from now.
See, I've had companies, I have a general contractor. Like recently I've been doing, when I started off and it was just me and maybe a helper, and I was doing a lot of like bank work and everything else. It was low dollar work, low profit, but I didn't have a high overhead in the beginning. So it wasn't a big deal. I did a lot of it and you didn't get paid right away, but it was always steady pay coming in. So you could rely on it. As you gain employees and as you gain overhead, trucks and shop and everything else, it's harder to stay on top of that. You need higher profits because you have higher overheads, right? So the general contractors I've been working with, like one after another has been like dodging me on paying me, right? So the one just asked me to do a new construction job. I told him, no, I'm done. I'm 100% done with him. The other one, he's owed money on a job since August. And he's been, paying a little bit at a time and not mailing out the checks, which I've asked him specifically, mail it to me. No, you pick it up at our office. So I got to keep picking it up, and it's like $300. I'm like, dude, you're killing me. You're freaking killing me on this. Long story short, I asked him, like, when can I get the next check, the next payment? Until this coronavirus thing ends, I'm not going to pay you anything. We're not going to do any more payments. So I told that was it. I made a phone call to a collection agency. I put him in collections. And he texted me and he called me dumb for putting him in collections.
They did their
So
job.
that's cool.
Actually, Vlogger makes a good point. Big chains don't want to pay you. Can't do anything at all. Only things that suck about commercial.
And that's a good point because, chains, I've always said this, that big chains are great as far as restaurants go. And Vlogger knows because he's dealt with some of my competitors in the past. Anyways, but big chains the cool thing is for the most part, they'll make it through a recession. I've been through a recession with all the chains that I deal with. The last recession, I went through the same thing with these same big chains. So they'll make it through.
Minus Bennigan's.
But it's just, you got to deal with the crap, you know, and the way that their systems work, if you put an invoice in and someone doesn't do their job right within the corporation, the invoice gets extended another 30 days. So even, okay, so the 30 days of, you know, when they're going to pay the invoice starts from the day that it gets inputted in their system correctly. So if someone makes a mistake on their side, it gets pushed back another 30 days.
Ridiculous.
So that's where stuff can get ridiculous.
Yeah.
Before we have to go, guys, you want to share a few pictures and talk about them before we have to leave? Let's change that.
What time is it?
Do it.
I know we don't have a lot, but
Show a few before we go.
all right. Well, Joe, let's start off with you since you chimed in because I know you like it, right?
Sure. I think I want to give you one, right?
You see it on the screen? Do you have the screen?
Oh, you know what? That's my bad. I should. You know, I don't have that screen. I don't see it on the screen.
All right, guys. This is a flat coil, York coil. It's got like
Thank
little. It's got like the little troughs for the drain pan.
I don't see too many of them. That's why I shared it, and I called it a horizontal coil.
It's not horizontal.
Yeah,
you
he said flat coil. I
You
know.
can't turn it sideways. It's
You're
a
right.
flat coil.
And actually, you told me an interesting story because a few guys have screwed up in the past, and it reminded me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I after Joe shared that with me, I told him my dad, after he sold his company, one of the employees for my dad was, for the new owner, was trying to be very thorough with his job and checking static pressure, you know, on a system for the air conditioning. Drilled into the plenum. It had a York flat coil. He drilled into the plenum, and it hit the coil because York also makes a case coil that the case is only about 10 inches high, and it's an A coil that sticks up past the flat. So you got to be careful.
A lot of guys don't know that. You got to be aware for sure.
Be aware. Yeah, definitely. What is this? Susie actually sent in quite a bit of cool pictures this week. I'm not sure where she got this with. Check this
Awesome,
freaking
Susie.
thing out.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Hey, at least if the drain pan overflows, who gives a crap?
Got an air handler outside.
Yeah, but look to the right. Somebody made a huge sheet metal enclosure to put over the top of the thing to protect it from rain.
House, huh?
It's kind of like making your own package unit.
And that's
Right.
got to take up half your yard at the trailer park.
She actually asked. She's like, you know, would somebody pay for this? It actually is if you have no money and somebody gave you an air handler, would you do this to your house and you get a
Yes.
package unit? Why not, right?
Build a deck over it.
Yeah, right. Build an enclosure around it. It's good.
But I don't understand the enclosure. Does that enclosure go over the top completely?
Yeah, it looks like it covers the flex duct and everything.
Is the chain link fence connected to that? I see like a chain link, or is that a shadow?
I think
chain
it's
link?
behind it.
Oh, it's weird.
It's pretty sweet
So-
though.
You just
Wait, or is that just no? I think that's lifted up so they could work on it.
Yeah, they just
I think that
leaned it
linked
up.
that. Oh,
The whole
okay.
enclosure, they lifted it up.
Got you. I mean, whatever. You know.
If you walked up to a job and saw that, I'd just stand back for about 10 minutes and just stand there and stare. I'd be like, in all my years. In all my years.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, I would still fix it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Why not? What are you going
If
to
they
do?
want to pay for it.
Oh, look at the drain. The drain's just coming out onto the ground.
Why do you even need a drain? You don't even need a trap.
know.
Just let it go, man. Who cares?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Shouldn't there be a clean out vent on that, or is that I can't tell if that's a vent or a clean out.
It must be a clean out because there's no way it's a float sensor.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
you got a float sensor because they live in a low water table, and
Yeah, too much water already.
I got to say, their siding looks like it needs a little bit of pressure washing.
It
They
just
got
goes
double
hand in hand, right, Adam? Hand in
Yeah.
hand.
When in Rome. When
They're
in Rome.
putting
Yeah.
up code on the electrical, I guess. They got 2 disconnects. They ran it in seal tight.
Hey, true point.
It's
Good
legit,
point.
man. It's legit.
I mean, the insulation on the line sets there.
Why not?
Yeah.
That's some stuff. Someone just didn't want to get in the crawl space.
Yeah.
hey, Ryan Huseman here, he says, They lay out on top like a tanning bed. That's not a bad idea. Lay right across that air handler. Pull that doghouse up and let the rays just soak in, man.
I think that
Sure.
that whole like doghouse thing, what you're calling a doghouse, you put that in your house, and that's probably gonna like affect your heat gain to your house with the, it's like a mirror blasting your house
like
with.
all the people who drive by and then get blinded by that, and then they just slam into like a tree.
They have a window right above that. It's like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when you turn on the Christmas lights. They're all blinded.
Honestly.
You imagine like the rain hitting that too? Just the loudest thing ever.
Oh, like Ted said, he needed a trap for that.
Who cares? You don't need a trap. Just let it overflow. Doesn't
That's what I
matter.
said. Gotta worry about the drain. Oh man.
That's a good pick.
Let's
Thanks,
see.
Susie.
She said all the rest of them are all from Susie had A pluses this week. I gotta say.
Awesome, Susan.
So I posted on Facebook. I think it was Facebook last week. Or was it 2 weeks ago? I had a nest that was for a boiler. It was chattering. I actually ran into another one 2 days ago. A nest with a boiler. It was chattering. They were trying to use a 2-wire, the one from 2 days ago. Susie says, she said in Facebook, if you pull that nest open, you're gonna see a burn mark in the on the circuit board. There it is. That's what she ran into. I've never taken a nest apart because I always try to warranty them.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that was it. What else we got here? She sent in another one. A kinked line
The kink
set.
liquid.
Kinked.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I run across that quite often.
Look, there's
And
a
honestly, dude, I've come across it too. Tell me what you got. You guys, I've seen systems operating fine like that,
I'll tell you what that.
and worse.
I always recommend that we replace it, but I've come across systems that have severely kink line sets and they've been running for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, how does this, And then I almost feel guilty saying you need to change the line set or we need to like rip the wall open or whatever to fix it because it's always kinked in the most awkward spot. But then I'm like, but it's been working this long. So how do I tell them that it's,
I'm gonna quote. She actually said it was leaking as well too, but I'm gonna quote somebody. I'm not gonna say who it was, but I can't remember exactly what he said the problem was. But he said he ran into, I think it was a TXV stuck open. Okay, on like a Friday night.
Hmm.
Do you know what the potential solution is for a TXV stuck open on a Friday night?
a TXV stuck open, kink the suction line?
Kink the liquid
Good
line.
call.
Kink the liquid line right before.
Either one.
Either one, I guess. Works.
That reminds me of the time I hijacked Chris's channel and I told his entire audience that you don't even need TXVs. All you gotta do is crimp that liquid line a little bit and braze it in there and you're good to go.
If you think about it, if you find the perfect crimp at the perfect temperature, it'll work.
You just
It's
get
like-
get a channel, get channel locks and start
How do
pinching
you regulate
down
it? Yeah.
slowly
Well,
but surely.
You just take that pipe and then you just pinch down like 75% of it. That's it.
Yeah.
I bet you could do that quicker than trying to open up a supply house and going to get a TXV and all that. You know what I mean?
Sure. Hey, I don't have the picture to pull up right now, but did you guys see my? I don't know
Calculator.
if you guys follow my Instagram, but I had the perfect. My wife and my daughters were making face masks, and so I thought, you know what, I have an idea, and I went in my bedroom. I got a pair of chonies, and I put them on my head and I cut them, and then it's perfect. If you wear your chonies as a face mask, you got
I
a
thought
little
that was
yeah.
hilarious.
the pee hole. You can eat
Yeah, that was
top.
hilarious.
Wow.
Was
You
your
posted on
wife
Instagram, right?
filming you for that?
No, I filmed myself. I put it on selfie mode, and I was like, if you watch the beginning of the video too, it's funny because I was busting up laughing, and my family's like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, "This is so funny."
I thought it was
thought
funny.
hilarious.
I saw it.
It's a taco. hole.
A taco, yeah.
So you
Hey,
were
you gotta
you were-
give props to my sponsor, Sporling, because they even reached out to me. We're like, "Dude, that was hilarious."
You
So
were-
I could-
no
way.
you-
That's
you-
awesome.
so
I
you
was
were
like, "Yep, they're the perfect sponsor."
you're rocking whitey tighties then, huh?
No, they were blue, right?
They were blue, bro.
But they're still tighties, blue tighties.
No, they're not tighties. They're boxer briefs.
That's
Oh,
brief,
okay.
dude. Come on.
I
Get
didn't
with
s- I don't
2020, bud.
I got
But I
tight.
cut the bottom off them, so maybe they look like tidy whities. But perfect, man. The taco, the pee hole, you put a taco through there, and yeah, go to town.
Yeah, I've
like
never
perfect
never
face mask.
Daniel Alvarado wants to know what are chones.
Chonies?
Yeah,
Chonies. That's the Spanish. The California Spanish word for underwear is chonies.
sounds Spanish.
It does.
Wait, hold on a second. Let's find out.
It's like the chancla, the sandal. You ever seen the chancla videos where like there's a whole term like with the Hispanic families that if you ever piss off your mom, like you got to watch out for the chancla because she'll throw his sandal to the other room. Yeah, I'm putting his in the head with the chancla. Hey, Yamo, see this Yamo?
Yeah, speaking of Hispanic,
Yamo, are you here?
Yo, what's up?
What's a chonies?
Yep,
What is it?
Yep.
underwear.
There you go.
I
Dude,
cannot
I live
show
in
you.
California. I don't speak
Adam.
Spanish. I know all the Spanish
Thanks,
terms.
Yamo.
So
All right, thank you.
thank you, Yamo.
Come again.
Bye, Yamo.
Who needs Google Translate when you just got a live Mexican stand?
Right, Bill? That's awesome. Chris is dying.
Wait, I got the
We
Google.
love you, Yamo. We love you, buddy.
oh man, that was great.
Just wake up, Yamo. Yamo, what's your man? Oxford. Thanks. Bye.
Oh boy, you see
You know
this
we
one,
love him. You know we love him.
Bill? I'm not sure about your how live you are. You were portraying an issue early on. Do you see what I just switched it to? Are you all right? We good?
I'm good. I've been good after the first picture. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
I can see it quicker on this screen that I'm looking at rather than the actual YouTube feed that I'm getting on my second laptop.
Well, you
Yeah,
shouldn't be
YouTube
watching the
feed is not
YouTube.
what you wanna look at.
It's the StreamYard that you should be looking at.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. I can see the StreamYard faster than I can see it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how the hell are you supposed to work on that condensing unit?
Well, the panel's still available.
Not just work on it. All right, like like clean it. That's one thing. That would be
Yeah.
pretty difficult. But how would you get the screws out of the backside of that electrical panel, man?
Yeah.
Maybe they
You're right, Bill. You
smart
can get
if
it,
they
but
thought of if the installation technician thought about the service technician, he didn't put the
Mhm.
screw, or he put them in backwards.
Hmm.
Think about that. You take the panel off, you put the screws inside going out. See, that's a refrigeration trick right there. And any of you got refrigeration guys know what I'm talking about on a Tecumseh condensing unit. It's got two screws on the electrical panel. You take one of them and you put it out, and then you only have to undo one screw. You pop it off. So if,
oh,
if
cool.
installing service technician put the screws going out, then it still holds it in place, and you only have to take off screws off of one side.
That's awesome, and it just swings. That's awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
Interesting.
I like that.
That's a fun one.
It does look nasty, but it's a cool trick.
Well, yeah, trick is cool. This picture sucks. I mean, come on. Let's
Y-
get real.
How tall is that wall? Like you would be surprised not like short. Like
That
it's,
looks like a 2-foot wall or something like that. But like,
Yeah.
look at that. Looks like a sidewalk. Like that's a walkway, right?
I don't even know. That looks like a yeah, I
It
don't
kind of
know.
looks like some sort of pass through or something, you know?
It's kind of weird.
Because what is the what other purpose?
Because
is there?
on the left side of it, it looks like it drops off again. What is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, it sucks. Whoever
The
did
poor
it.
pizza guy can't get to the front door anymore.
Yeah, whoever did it's in.
yeah. Exactly. But I'm surprised it's even like air is moving. That's I don't know.
Yeah, I've actually
guess
seen
inside.
where people build fences around the XLI units,
Mm-hmm.
and then they remove the XLI tops and they buy the XR tops to put on the XLIs
Oh no way.
because it's like they're having an issue with recirculating. They want to pump it up and not
course.
out. You know. Where are we at here?
We're talking about the trains, right?
Hamilton says that
Yeah.
ratchet wrenches. That's one of my favorite tools. I have a 1/4-inch ratchet wrench
Yep.
and a 5/16 ratchet wrench in my tool bag, and those things save your day. You know.
Absolutely.
Why are there bricks stacked around this thing here?
So I believe Susie said she ran a service call here, and they wanted her to service the units, and she told them
Well-
no. I'm sorry.
Like I don't understand. Like
Okay,
wow.
on the commercial side, I see this as an opportunity to charge for 3 hours. Because we charge time.
Moving bricks.
My
We're not a-
question
we're not a
is,
flat rate. So
if you moved the bricks, would you restack them again, or would you just?
I know, right? Nope, just
$98
removal.
an hour, hell yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you want if you're willing to pay me.
Wow.
Well,
I genuinely went up to a customer yesterday because I was working in a kitchen, and I needed a defrost to reach in. I didn't get video of it, but I needed a defrost to reach in. It was really iced up, and I said, "Hey, I can make this go a lot quicker if I use a water hose." And they're like, "Okay, go for it." And then there was a huge mess. And I said, I will gladly clean up this mess, but I'm going to give you the option right now because your cook costs a hell of a lot less than me. And they said, yeah, we'll have the cooks do it. I said, I'll gladly
exactly.
out of it. I'm just trying to be cool. So I'll do it.
There's many times you go to houses and the contractors like, I could do it. No, I'll get my guys to do it. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Now, now they're doing some of their work for us. Like it's insane. Well, they're smart, I guess, trying to save a penny, but whatever.
Yeah.
What's the time, Joe? How are we doing?
Do you have another picture, or I have something to bring up?
That's it. What do you want to bring up?
So
bring it up before we go. Yeah.
On the flip side, on the XOI Technologies, when I was doing their whole spiel on the phone, talking to him the other day, he brought up a point.
Sorry, Chris. Why don't you briefly explain what XOI technology is?
So my understanding, XOI is an app that you can install on your phone, and I've been reaching out to them because I'm genuinely interested in it. It's kind of like, my understanding is it's a tech support app. So one of the functions of it is it gives me the ability as a lead or an owner or whatever that gives tech support to my technicians to be able to use their phone as my camera. So I can broadcast their phone picture on my phone or my computer from wherever I'm at. And I can also take control of their phone and say, zoom in on it and say and I can circle on their phone and it can do a screen capture and show my technician, hey, you need to look at that contactor right there. You need to put your meter leads on this point and this point and tell me what they say. That's one feature. There's a bunch of features. They have a model number recognition that takes a picture and all kinds of stuff. But check it out. I'm really interested in it. I've been talking to them. But one of the things they brought up as a business is it gives the ability, and I thought this was interesting. It doesn't really apply to me, but it gives the ability for big giant companies to still keep technicians that can't work in the field anymore. And what I mean by that is retired technicians. They can keep retired technicians. Instead of getting them to retire, they can sit them at a computer and what they can do. And I'm kind of, I don't know how I feel about this, but they can offer a customer, because they can also send an XOI link to the customer and say, we'll charge you a $50 flat fee to try to diagnose this over the phone. If it works or not, we're going to charge you $50. And if it works, then, or if it doesn't work, then we'll take $50 off the bill of if we actually have to roll a truck out there, which I thought was interesting, because basically it gives someone on the other end of the line the ability to say, hey, you know what? You need to try changing that fuse. And then they change the fuse and it fixes the problem. Then they don't have to roll a truck and they get to charge them $50 for a guy sitting at a computer.
Chris, John McMaster, good to see you, buddy. He was asking, is it free? It sounds a lot like TeamViewer. Maybe you could tell him how much our average the cost would be.
John McMaster, my understanding, again, talking to the XOI people, for a company of 4 people, which is what I have, I'm a small company, they told me it was around 400 and some change every single month to be able to have access. And it's not an invoice.
How many employees?
I have 4. So for a company of 4, it was somewhere around $400 a month. And it's literally, I don't know what TeamViewer is. I'd have to check it out. So interesting.
I have I signed up for a service, not like live video, but it's kind of like a picture organization thing where you could do job per job. You could draw on it. It's pretty nice. Company Cam. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I'm looking at something similar called Slack. Slack is a communication app. They have a free version and a paid version where you have one source of communication. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Adam.
It's kind of the same, I guess. Like, yeah. So everyone in your company could see all the jobs. You could set up a job. You could take pictures of the job. You could do like before, during, after. You could do like very nice text and arrows and circle and all kinds of stuff. You could draw on the picture and you could show like what the issue is. And you could share certain pictures with a customer, and you don't have to share all the pictures. You could upload PDF documents.
Yeah, similar. You know what? Actually, the best way I could describe Slack is, you know what this is, Adam. Remember Discord. Slack is identical to Discord, but it's solely to your company. So you have a server, you have channels. So I can have a channel for each technician, and whenever each technician is out on a job and you say, hey, send me pictures of that job, instead of him texting you or emailing you, he sends one source, and then Like, for instance, my company is made up of my dad and myself, and my dad and myself constantly ask a certain technician, hey, send me pictures of that model and serial number so I can quote it. But then I feel bad asking my tech, hey, send pictures to me. And then my dad calls him 10 minutes later, hey, send pictures to me. So Slack is a way for them to put them in one, kind of similar to Discord. You know, you put the pictures in here, it's private, and you can upload videos, pictures, and it's categorized per technician. And then you can also do company announcements. You know, this is the announcement thing. You know, you all got a 10% pay cut. It goes out to everybody.
You're all fired. COVID-19.
Yep, you're all fired.
Go home.
Well, guys, it's getting about that time.
Yeah. Sure.
Is it?
No, I was going to say something.
Wait, hold on.
You're good.
Before we end it, let me ask one question. And then, Joe,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Everyone likes cutting Joe off because he's the freaking Canadian. So listen. Chris, we're about to record 2 podcasts tonight. Not long podcasts. Would you like to be a part of one or both of them?
Yeah, let's go for it.
And this is no HVAC talk. Well, yeah, it could be, but this is like off
Anything
the record,
talk.
real talk. Yeah.
Oh, off the record. So it's not going to be put out to the public. I can talk.
It's off
Well,
the
you know what I
record,
mean.
on the record.
Yes.
I feel like this is something that we could probably have just said at any time.
My YouTube subscribers,
Yeah.
I can say that all, and it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say whatever you want.
John, that was a good point. I just want to say, John, that's a good point. I'm going to check it out for sure. That Team Viewer, this sounds pretty cool.
No,
Yeah.
Mike Demko, my texts do not know how to group text.
Oh my God.
When I ask
Michael.
when I give a text specific questions and say no more text messaging, send an email to this email. I get 5 texts and 1 email from the same tech. So
It's funny you say that because I was getting frustrated the other day to my tech because he kept on going on his phone, but that's besides the point. Anyways, Bill, if you want to hit it off.
Bill, say
Yeah.
goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
I got to say thank you guys for having me on here, though.
Oh, thanks, Chris. No problem.
Chris, you should be a staple of this show. You
Yeah,
know,
you're a
you
buddy.
should start coming on a normal basis.
Whenever you guys want me, as long as I'm home.
All right.
You're like the grits in the oatmeal of the HVAC world.
They put grits in oatmeal.
Always
analogy.
dependable. Always filling.
I've been eating oatmeal every morning, and my wife is like she's kind of like you, Bill. She's super healthy, vegan, all that bullshit.
She have a beard.
She buys whole rolled oats, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know, dude. But
I regret bringing up oatmeal now.
I do this
You're not
oats
vegan.
every morning, and it's just freaking these giant pieces of oats, and I just pour milk over it and put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. It's not that none of that bullshit with a bunch of crap in it and stuff. It's just plain oats. Good stuff, man.
It's good.
Interesting.
Keeps your stuff
Put
hard.
an apple. I cut up an entire apple, chop it up into pieces, put it in my oatmeal. No sugar, no nothing. Perfect.
For the record,
Well, my furnace is running again. Bill?
Oh, that's the cue. Let's get out of here. All right, guys. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching us do all our stuff. Thanks to Chris for stopping by because it kind of sucks sometimes being the only handsome guy on the show. So it's good to have Chris in here every once in a while to kind of break up the monotony of me being the only good-looking guy on the show, right? You know? But hey, don't forget, guys, email us all your pictures, join the Facebook group, find us on Instagram, watch my channel, watch Adam's channel. Joe does stuff too. Watch his stuff.
Yep.
You're not going to promote my shit?
Oh, of
You don't
course.
need any
They-
promotion.
Well,
Let's
I
get
mean-
rid
They
of it.
already know. He doesn't need promotion.
I've been waiting for you to quit YouTube just so I can get some of your subscribers.
Dude, you can't even do one thing right. You're supposed to promote my channel.
That's
I'm
true.
done.
That's
Never
true.
again. Done.
Don't forget to watch Chris, HVACR videos. I'm
Facebook
sure
group.
everybody here is already subscribed, and all their friends are already subscribed,
And their
everybody
moms.
that they know, everybody that works for them is already subscribed. But if you happen to be on a bus one day and you see a homeless gentleman who's like, I don't know who that guy is, tell him to subscribe because he's probably the only one in the world who hasn't subscribed to Chris's channel yet. That's the one guy. Between him and Quality HVAC, they got all the subs.
Yeah,
All of them.
Susie has a good point, Adam. Say that.
That bastard.
What did I say?
Toodles.
No,
Praise God.
say what Susie says right there.
I don't have the chat up because I'm trying to show you guys what I'm
Say
doing.
big picture diagnosis.
Big picture diagnostics.
Big picture diagnostics.
Fuck yeah.
I've been telling all my guys. Actually, me and I'm going to get off on a little bit of a tangent here, but me and my not one of my guys, but one of my coworkers, Avery, down in Ohio. There we were talking earlier today, and I can't remember if I said it or if he said it, but we were talking about something like, man, you just got to look at the big picture, man. He's like, yeah, big picture diagnosis.
No way.
Yeah, I'm like, high
Chris.
five, bro.
Send him a bill.
Nice.
Send him a bill.
See?
You're my best friend.
Give me an address.
You
him
know.
his email.
But hey, let's get out of here, guys. They've
All right,
had enough of us.
All right, thumbs up.
I got fired.
And Joe got all mad.
Yeah, when I got fired. Yeah.
Still fun to say though that we got played.
He's gone.
I literally had to. Why do you say big picture diagnosis? I wish you wouldn't say that so much. That's stupid.
What?
I said, dude.
Hey, podcast. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. Why do you say big picture?
Perfect segue into the post-show podcast.
Yes, check it out, guys. Real talk.
You know, real talk.
It's
You know.
just as good, or maybe a little bit less good as our live show.
Huge.
Which, by the way, we should probably say something about the live show or the podcast at the end of the live show.
You're doing it right now, Jim.
I didn't even think. Who's Jim?
Steve. His name's Hector Montoya Fernandez.
You guys aren't even thinking about the big picture. I always think of the big picture.
There's a big picture on my screen right now.
All my pictures are big.
Yamo?
It's inappropriate.
Yamo's pretty big.
When I go to Walmart to have my pictures printed out, they're like, "What size you want?" I'm like, "What's the biggest you got?" Because I only look at big pictures.
Give me like what does Trump say? Give me big. It's gonna be big. I want to see big.
Huge,
It's huge.
Huge with a Y.
huge,
Huge.
huge. Like the population of China.
It's
China.
gonna be huge.
Your
Like-
giant
Like the amount of COVID cases China is covering up. Huge.
Oh, I agree with that one right there.
On that note,
Later.